Meet Parker Bennett, real estate agent. Parker loves Kamloops. Parker has a background in building inspections, so he knows houses. This is the Kamloops Insider with Parker Bennett.
Welcome everybody to the Kamloops Insider vlog. I'm your host Parker Bennett from Royal LePage Westman Realty and the Kamloops Insider. Today I want to talk about radon. Now if you've never heard of radon before, let me explain a little bit about what it is. I'm not going to get into the complete logistics of what radon is, but essentially it's this. Uranium that is decaying in the ground, in the surface below grade, escapes out through the ground, has a very short half-life of 3.5 days, but it's a very dense gas that comes out of there, and it has the ability to escape and get trapped into residential dwellings and structures. So the problem with radon is simply this. It is the second leading cause of lung cancer in North America. And to give you some sort of grasp on what those numbers look like, 3,000 people last year in the United States of America died from, and these are non-smoking individuals, died from lung cancer related from radon exposure. Now why I don't have stats for Canada, I don't know, but Stats Canada's just not working on that stat just yet. So let me explain a little more details about how this works. So essentially, if you're living in a dwelling and your house is built in the mid-70s, the foundation is not going to be completely 100% seal tight. Now, there's going to be cracks in that concrete slab. There's penetration gaps between where plumbing materials go below grade, where your drains go out, transitions between the foundation walls and that slab area. And in those earlier days, we would not have used a vapor barrier underneath the concrete slab of your basement. So those would have been the areas in which that radon gas could enter your home. And because it's a dense gas, it's colorless, tasteless, you can't smell it. It could build up in your basement area, and if you're prolonged exposure to it, then you could get lung cancer. So no worries just yet, because in the late 2000 era, the BC Building Code changed, which provided areas to remediate and prevent the potential for radon coming into your home. So let me explain how that works. So as a realtor, I'm in and out of a lot of houses. And sometimes I come into these houses where the mechanical area in the basement is exposed and you have the ability to see a lot of pipes and wires and mechanical things of that nature. And I get asked, what is this 4-inch pipe that goes into the ground and seems to go up into the floor joist system or out of the top of the roof? So if we look down here a little closely, this pipe is sewer grade piping, it's PVC. It's very distinct in its size, and then it's a 4-inch pipe, 1 inch bigger than your typical drain waste pipe where your toilet, bath water, and sink water are going to drain to. The purpose of this pipe is to do this. Underneath this slab is a bunch of crushed rock material outside of that vapor barrier area below the concrete slab. And theoretically, if any radon were to escape into that small cavity below your slab, it potentially would have the ability to creep through this pipe and out the top of your roof of your house, removing that threat from coming inside the dwelling. Now that doesn't do that by itself. It actually needs a little bit of assistance. So this 4-inch pipe has the ability to be cut, and a small circular pump is installed into that pipe where it is put onto a power source and a timer, and that area below your slab is evacuated of radon and air in a cyclical pattern, so that throughout the day, X amount of square feet of air is being moved out of that slab surface and over your house and out to the environment for it to just dilute and rot away and decay to nothing. So the reason that the BC Building Code has designed this for this specific purpose is so that every house built from now on has the potential to be remediated. The problem is we don't know if we got radon here or not. So how do we do that? So there are a couple of different tools that they use to measure radon in a home. Unfortunately, they're not like a smoke detector or carbon monoxide sensor where there's just a small device that beeps when you have radon. It's essentially a monitoring device that needs to be left out in a home for several months, and then a small strip of that tool is then sent off to a laboratory where they evaluate for radon exposure. And then it can give you some sort of range, whether it's acceptable or not acceptable. If it's in that not acceptable range, your house is at least remediated and ready to go to put the pump in and start evacuating that area. The good news is Kamloops in general is not in a risk area. It's in a low risk area, but there are areas in BC that are in the higher risk areas. There are some coastal regions, there's a northern region up by Fort Nelson, and there's an area in the West Kootenays that tends to be higher risk for radon gas. In our area in Kamloops, most of these units will probably never see a pump and they'll never get used. However, the BC Building Code is prepared to have every house ready to go, so if there is a high exposure range of radon, we can treat it and remediate it. Now, if you have an older house and you have some higher risk areas where there's maybe cracks in the foundation and things of this nature, if you have radon in your home, if you're exposed to that radon, if you do a test and find that there's high radon in there, then you're going to need to remediate it in several different ways. One of which is to create a complete seal on your basement floor, and then you're going to need to run one of these pipes into that underslab area up through the roof and then get an evacuation system going so you can remediate it. I hope this information has been handy and now you know a little bit more about radon. But if you have any other questions about radon, there's a really good link on the government website, and I will put that link up at the bottom of this page to click on. Thanks, and join us again next time for the Kamloops Insider.
Call Parker Bennett now for your complimentary home evaluation.